All right, guys, had a pretty good day today. Nice and green, but not as green as it should have been. I took my first trade. I didn't really get on the computer until somewhere around noon. So it took me about 10 or 15 minutes to find my first trade, and it ended up being on MU. And what I really like triangles here, and it's not quite a triangle. It's not quite a triangle, but it had a nice upward trend, dip down. I like the big wick on the 5-minute. So I like seeing this doji with a big wick here. It started going back up and approaching this level that it was hesitating at. And I liked that this point of control down here, this gray line here, is what the 5-minute candle wicked off of. So I got down to this big liquidity event and was still strong afterwards. So I took it long here, partialed out where I saw big asks, and then last little bit at break even. This was a really nice trade. I could have just stopped my day after this, but I kept going. My later trade here, let me zoom in here. So if you see this trade on the 1-minute chart too, you can see it had kept testing, and it did wick down several times, but was holding. Took off on really nice volume here, so felt really good about it, and then partialed out on the way up there. Again, later I took another trade here. Took it to a long side. It kind of looked like it was pressing up, kind of looked like it wanted to go. But this was a momentum trade of sorts. I was kind of expecting it to happen, and you see it had big volume here, but came right back down, couldn't sustain, and then the volume was really on the sell side. So I got out here. I wish I would have got out a little sooner, because I told myself in this candle, it's not really happening for some reason. So I should have gotten out then, but I didn't. Let's see. I had a trade on JD here, and so this is actually two trades here. I took JD long first. I thought maybe, we were nice. We pushed up against VWAP and broke in the 50 MA here, and it came back down. I thought maybe this 200 MA right here would hold, and we would push back up towards VWAP and then maybe even higher. So I took it long, stopped out when it just looked too weak. And then I actually flipped position. I went short here, partialed out at this 100 MA on the 1-minute chart, which is also kind of near here. And I was really hoping that we were going to keep going down, maybe get towards the low of the day down here. But it didn't end up happening. SPY was too strong, and this thing popped right back up on me. So I just got one green partial and then out at break even. And then this one I stopped myself out on. And lastly, ACB here. Kind of looks a little Christmas tree-esque, but this is a few trades. I took it long here, had to stop out, wasn't sure it was going to hold. Really, I was expecting the $11 mark to hold, so I stopped out when it broke through. Took it long again, got one green partial, basically out at break even there. I tried it again, went long here, stopped out because it just didn't seem to, it wasn't really getting the volume on the long side. So basically it just looked like more sellers in the market. And then you see it took this nice dip here, took this dip. And then I wanted to get in. I was patient enough to wait for 1050 as an entry. But I really should have been even more patient. But it came back up and started dipping back down. I added into my position here and then got some nice partials here. This was, this last little bit was the best trade of the day for me. And that was my day. It's a little weird for me to come in the middle of the day like this. I normally trade the open, but I'm living on the road in a van now, and so what times I can get to my computer are a little sporadic, and I'm learning on the fly about how to go about entering the market midday rather than having watched it the whole time, because it does feel a little different. But I'll take the green day, and hopefully we hit next week we hit the ground running.